Hi, I'm Norma. I just moved to Hoenn from the Johto region because my dad got a job as the gym leader over in Petalburg City. He says this is the perfect opportunity for me to begin my own Pokemon journey, so before we left Johto, he gave me my very first Pokemon, an Apom that I named Kentucky. With Kentucky, and whatever other normal type Pokemon are in the Hoenn region at my side, nothing will stop me from becoming the champion of the Hoenn League. My first challenge was my new neighbor Brendan. He's the son of the local Pokemon professor, Birch, who gave him a Torchic as his first Pokemon. It could prove to be a challenge a little bit further down the line as it evolves and gains the fighting type, but for now, Kentucky was able to take it out with just a few scratches. On my way to meet up with my dad at his gym in Petalburg City, I caught a new member of the team, Oregon the Zigzagoon. As the only normal type in Hoenn that can learn Surf, Oregon is sure to be useful down the line. I met up with my dad at his gym, and a guy named Wally came in and asked for help catching his first Pokemon. My dad loaned him one of the gym's Zigzagoons and gave him a single Pokeball before sending me to help him catch his first Pokemon. Wally caught his Ralts, and meeting up back at the gym, my dad told me to make my way to Rustboro City to begin collecting gym badges. He wanted me to get 4 badges before he would let me challenge his gym. On my way out of Petalburg, I ran into this guy named Scott. Apparently he's going around Hoenn looking for strong trainers, and I'm not good enough to catch his attention yet, so I continued on to Rustboro. Along the way, I caught a Talo named Iowa. Iowa's Guts ability is sure to come in handy for a few of the difficult fights early on in my journey. On my way through Petalburg Woods, I was ambushed by a member of a group called Team Aqua. He just had a Poochyena though, so Kentucky was able to take it down with a few scratches, and we were in Rustboro before we knew it. While preparing for the gym battle, on the route north of Rustboro, I caught a Whisper named Texas. If I'm being honest, Texas really didn't do much during this journey, though he was on the team for a little over half of it. My first battle against Roxanne did not go well at all. I was just barely able to take out her Geodudes, but by the time Nosepass came out, Oregon was my only teammate left standing and just wasn't able to put out enough damage to take it out. After that defeat, I went back to Petalburg Woods to look for a Slackoth. Now I had been a little bit hesitant to catch one since Slaking is my dad's signature Pokemon, but I just couldn't deny the sheer power Slaking has. Plus, I need all the teammates I can get to take on Roxanne. It took a little bit to find one, but before too long, Kansas the Slackoth joined the team. I tried a few more times to take on Roxanne, but I still just couldn't do enough damage. All of my strongest moves were resisted by rock types, and her Pokemon were constantly raising their defense. I ended up having to evolve Oregon into a Linoon at level 20 just to have enough power to deal the final blow. Even then, my victory relied on yawns from Kansas putting her Pokemon to sleep, and multiple tail whips and sand attacks from both Kentucky and Oregon to make sure I was dealing enough damage to just barely make it through. It was actually Kentucky who dealt the final blow after Oregon ran out of Headbutt PP. We had just barely made it through that battle, but we couldn't rest yet. The next gym we were going to have to face specialized in fighting types. First though, I saved a Sailor Swingle from Team Aqua, and had the CEO of a major corporation give me a cell phone. He also asked me to deliver a letter to his son, despite the fact that he owns the company that makes cell phones. Like, seriously, just call him. Oh well, his son just happened to be in the same town as the next gym, so it wasn't a major issue for me. I set sail with the guy whose Wingle I had just saved, and when I landed in Dewford Town, I made my way for the nearby cave to deliver that letter. When I delivered the letter to Steven, he gave me the TM for Steelwing and his phone number. As far as weird encounters go, getting a Nepo Baby's phone number in the deepest cavern of a dark cave has to be up there with the weirdest of them. Anyway, moving on to the fight against Brawly. The fighting type gym leader could have proved a real challenge for a normal type specialist, but I had an ace up my sleeve, a Gutsy Iowa. By getting her poisoned by a Tentacool before the battle, I was able to make my way through Brawly's team pretty easily. Machop went down to 1 Guts boosted wing attack, and so did Meditite. Makuhita didn't go down to the first wing attack, and its berry healed it back up to about half, but it only went for a bulk up, so a second wing attack was able to take it down. And with that, Brawly's gym badge was mine, and I was halfway to being able to challenge my dad. I made my way to Slateport, where I'm pretty sure I came across a cult who deals in illicit substances. We'll accept you as a member and sell you good stuff in secrecy. Anyway, I decided to check out the local museum and ran into Team Aqua again. I actually got to meet their leader Archie, who called his men simps, and then proceeded to tell me what their goal was. Basically, they got fed up waiting for global warming to raise the sea levels and decided to take matters into their own hands. As I was leaving the museum, I ran into Scott again. Apparently, the fact that I beat a couple of Team Aqua grunts was enough to pique his interest, so he gave me his phone number and left to scout out other trainers. Now it was time to make my way to Mauville City for the next gym. On the way though, I ran into Brendan, who wanted to battle. He led with his Wingull and I led with Texas. Texas almost took down the Wingull, but I had to switch out to Kansas, who had evolved into a Vigoroth at some point, to finish it off. Out next was Combusken, and Kansas hit it with a yawn before going down to a couple of double kicks. As Combusken fell asleep, I brought out Iowa to take it out with 2 wing attacks. Last out is Lombre, who also went down to 2 wing attacks to win us the battle. In Mauville City, I ran into Wally, who wanted to challenge the local gym. His uncle wasn't so sure about the idea, but Wally challenged me to a battle to prove how much stronger he had gotten. Kentucky defeated his Ross with 1 critical hit scratch. After the battle, Scott approached me again. Apparently he was watching the battle and liked my style. After telling me this, he just walked away again. Next up was the fight against Watson. I didn't expect this to be a super difficult fight, but it ended up being the hardest fight of my entire journey. I threw my team at him time and time again, but nothing was working. I always had to use my entire team to take down Magneton, and then didn't have enough juice in the tank for Manectric. The strategy that ended up working was honestly the most backward strategy I could have imagined. I led with a pre-poisoned Iowa. I know, not the most obvious play given that Iowa is the only Pokemon on my team weak to electric, but it's what ended up working. A critical hit quick attack took out Voltorb, and then 2 quick attacks took out Electrike. It probably could have one-shot Iowa with a Shockwave, but it just went for a Leer. For some reason, this made Watson send out Manectric 3rd instead of Magneton. And this was the break that I had needed. A quick attack from Iowa did a decent chunk of damage before she went down to a Shockwave, and then I brought out Kansas to get off a yawn. A couple of slack-offs got Kansas back to full health, and then it was just a war of attrition. Kansas kept hitting with Fury Swipes and then putting Manectric back to sleep whenever it woke up, and eventually Manectric went down, and Watson's last Pokemon was Magneton. And I'd already beaten Magneton on a few other attempts, so I knew what to do. I put it to sleep, lowered its defense, and sent out Oregon to take it out in a few headbutts. The 3rd gym badge was finally mine. I made my way to Meteor Falls, where I ran into Team Magma. They're more or less the opposite of Team Aqua. Team Aqua wants more seed, Team Magma wants more land. Team Magma was stealing a meteorite so that they could make the nearby volcano erupt or something. I'm not even sure if that would create more land. The volcano is like right in the middle of the only landlocked part of Hoenn, but it would harm a lot of people, so I guess I should go stop them. At the top of Mount Chimney, I had to battle Team Magma's leader, Maxie. He led with a Mightyena, and I led with Oregon. I just kinda kept using Headbutt until the Mightyena went down, and the next out was Zubat. 2 Headbutts would have been enough to take it down, but I missed my second one, so I had to use 3. Last out was Camerupt, so I sent out Kansas to get off a yawn, and then take it down with Fury Swipes while it was asleep. After defeating Maxie and stopping Team Magma's plans, I made my way to challenge Flannery. She led with her Numel, and I sent out Kentucky. 1 strength came just short of a one-shot, so while she healed, I used a Tickle to lower Numel's defense. That allowed the next strength to get the one-shot. Next was Slugma. It took big damage from Kentucky's strength, and then just set up a sunny day before going down. Then Camerupt came out. Kentucky got off a Tickle as Camerupt took her out with a sun-boosted crit overheat. A bit overkill, but okay. I brought Texas out, and I confused Camerupt with a Supersonic, and then started setting up with Howl. By the time it snapped out of confusion, I was able to take it down with a single strength. Flannery's final Pokemon was Torkoal, and 2 strengths from Texas came so close to taking it out, but Torkoal retaliated with a strong overheat before Flannery healed it up with a Hyper Potion. Iowa was able to come out and do a chip of damage before also going down, and then I sent out Kansas to, what else? Put it to sleep and take it down with Fury Swipes. It took a long time due to Torkoal's high defense, but Kansas eventually took down the Lava Turtle. And just like that, The 4th badge was mine. That means it's time to take on my dad, the one who started me on this journey by giving me my first partner way back before we left Johto. He's an expert in the very type of Pokemon that I'm training. If I can beat him, I'll know I have what it takes to make it all the way. He led with his Spinda, and I led with Texas. 2 strengths took out the Spinda, but not before it was able to confuse Texas with a Teeter Dance. Next, he sent out his Slacking, his strongest Pokemon. I've seen this Slacking wipe out entire teams by itself back when he was competing with the other potential gym leaders for this job. He's not holding back, but neither are we. Slacking takes out Texas with 1 Facade, so I send out Kansas to get off a yawn. I hit it with a Fury Swipes, but it's doing next to nothing, so I switched to using Rock Smash to lower its defense. I eventually got Slacking down to a sliver, and it took out half of Kansas's HP with 1 Facade. While he healed up, I had Kansas go for another yawn. Kansas went down, and I brought in my ringer. Guts boosted Iowa. Between the Guts boost, the lower defense, and a focus energy that I set up, Iowa was able to take down the Slaking in 3 hits. Vigoroth came out next, and Iowa was able to do big damage with a crit quick attack before going down to a combination of Facade and poison damage. I brought out Kentucky to finish off Vigoroth with a strength. Last out is Linoon, but we are not nearly out of the woods yet. This thing can also sweep entire teams with the combination of Belly Drum and Slash. I have Kentucky go for some tickles to lower its attack and defense before bringing out my own Linoon, Oregon. Because of the defense drops, Oregon was able to get Linoon down to a sliver with a single headbutt. Not even a Hyper Potion could stop me from taking down his final Pokemon and securing the Gym Badge. I had done it. I had defeated my own father. He was the strongest trainer I knew and the foremost expert on normal types. Now I had surpassed him, and I had done it using normal types of my own. I had always thought I would feel proud when this happened, and I did, but I was also terrified. I had no idea what lay before me. Before, I always knew no matter what I faced, my dad would be able to come to my rescue. But moving forward, I would be on my own. I was in charge of my own destiny, and that scared me. Existential crisis aside, I had to continue on. The next gym for me was in Fortree City. I made my way there, but I was stopped by a Team Aqua roadblock. They had taken over the nearby Weather Institute and were trying to use it to control the weather. I made my way to the top floor where their admin was holding the scientists and ran Team Aqua out of the building. As a thank you for saving them, the scientists gave me a cast form that I named Illinois. Now, hear me out. I know cast form's whole thing is that it changes types in the weather, but its base form is normal type. So I think it's fair game. And if you disagree, just go voice your complaints down in the comments section. And while I'm breaking character here, be sure to go down and click that subscribe button. Also, if you're enjoying this, the channel's at around 140 subscribers as of making this video, and I really want to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. Every subscriber goes a long way. Once I do hit 1,000, I'm actually going to be doing a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Ultra Sun, the most difficult mainline official Pokemon game. So if you want to see that, or you're just enjoying the video, go down, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all the stuff that makes the algorithm happy. Alright, back to the video. Now I could move forward, but Brendan stopped me for a battle as I crossed the bridge outside of the Weather Institute. He led with his Pelipper, and I led with Ohio the Wigglytuff. Oh yeah, I caught a Jigglypuff back there in my existential crisis earlier, named it Ohio, and then evolved it with a Moonstone that I found in Meteor Falls. A few shockwaves from Ohio were enough to take the Pelipper down, despite it annoyingly using Protect a couple of times. Out next was Combuskin, so I switched to Illinois as I went for a bulk up. Then I hit a rain-boosted Weather Ball to take out Combuskin. Last out was Lombre, so I brought in Iowa to take it down in one wing attack. After the battle, Scott came up to me again because he saw my battle with Brendan and was impressed. I really don't know what his deal is, but he seems to have his eye on me as a strong trainer. Well, whatever his ends are, it's time for me to make my way onto Fortree City. Before I took on the Fortree gym, I caught a Kecleon named Michigan. I never used this Kecleon. I figured I was already pushing it with cast form, I probably shouldn't use another Pokemon whose gimmick is turning into another type. You know, if I had a nickel for every Hoenn normal type found around Fortree City that has an ability that changes its type, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Up next is my battle against Winona. She led with her Swablu and I led with Ohio. I had Ohio start building up a rollout, thinking if I could build it up strong enough I could sweep through a good chunk of her team. And I was right. Swablu went down and Tropius was able to set up a sunny day and let off a solar beam before it also fell. Next I was Pelipper, who just misses a supersonic before going down to my last rollout. Ohio had single-handedly taken out 3 of Winona's Pokemon, but when Skarmory came out, I took the chance to switch to Illinois while the sun was still up. Illinois took a now-resisted Steel Wing and let off a sun-boosted Weather Ball to Oko Skarmory. Altaria came out as the sun faded, so I set up a Hail and she went for a Dragon Dance. This Altaria can sweep my team if I'm not careful, and it all comes down to whether or not Illinois can survive an earthquake. Or so I thought. Altaria for some reason went for Aerial Ace, meaning Illinois can easily survive the hit and retaliate with a hail-boosted, quad-effective Weather Ball to finish off Altaria and win us the battle. My next stop after that gym wasn't another major battle, but instead the Safari Zone to pick up 2 new encounters. Montana the Doduo and Nebraska the Giraffarig would both become staple members of the team. Unfortunately, that did mean I would have to leave 2 of our teammates behind in the box. I said goodbye to Iowa, our early game powerhouse, because Dodrio is just simply stronger than Swellow. And I also had to say goodbye to Illinois the Castform. Although this one was more of a see ya later, as I had plans for Illinois against the Elite Four. I made my way to the top of Mount Pyre chasing Team Aqua, but they had already beaten me to the top. It seems Team Magma had been there too, as the elderly couple at the top of the mountain gave me a magma emblem that one of them had dropped. With this, I made my way to Team Magma's base. I found Maxie in the Magma base. Apparently he was trying to awaken the ancient Pokemon Groudon. Groudon is said to have created the landmass in Hoenn, and Maxie wanted to use it to create more by causing a region-wide drought. It's not exactly the smartest plan. Awakening an ancient, super powerful Pokemon that you can't control to cause an actual natural disaster. Predictably, Groudon left as soon as it was awoken, and for some reason Maxie blamed me, so we had to battle. Maxie led with his Mightyena, and I sent out Montana. The Intimidate lowered Montana's attack, and I had went in horribly underleveled. So by the time my Mightyena went down, Montana was down to only 10 HP. Camerupt came out and took down Montana with a Rock Slide. I brought out Kansas to get off a yawn, and Camerupt at this point seemed to only want to use Amnesia for some reason, so Kansas took it out as it napped. Last was Crobat, and Kansas used a yawn to put it to sleep before I switched out to Nebraska. 2 Psychics were enough to take out Crobat while it slept. My next stop after defeating Maxie was the Slateport Docks. I arrived just in time to see Team Aqua stealing a submarine. I followed them to their hideout in Lily Cove, but once again I was just a little bit too late to stop them from taking the submarine to an undersea cavern to search for the other ancient Pokemon, Kyogre. Because it went so well for Team Magma. Anyway, I wanted to chase after them, but I had no way of getting to the ocean floor, so I continued on to the next gym. The Moss Deep City Gym is the only gym in Hoenn with 2 gym leaders. Tate and Liza were difficult. It was a hard-fought battle, and by the end of it, I was down to my final Pokemon. But ultimately, my team prevailed. I was probably 1 rogue crit away from losing that battle. I'm really in the big leagues now. I always knew I wanted to prove myself, but with how difficult this battle was, am I sure I'm ready? Can I really make it all the way? Can I become the champion? I don't know, but I owe it to myself to give it my all. After leaving the gym, I ran into Scott again. He told me something was wrong at the Space Center, so I decided to go check it out. Turns out Team Magma was there, trying to steal jet fuel from the Space Center so they could throw it in a Mount Chimney in order to make it erupt. Once again, I don't even think that would create any more land. Anyway, I teamed up with Steven and we put a stop to Team Magma's plans pretty easily. Afterward, we met up at Steven's house and he gave me the HM for dive. Now I have a way to chase after Team Aqua. I made my way to the seafloor cavern and somehow I actually beat Archie to Kyogre's chambers. He came in right after me though and challenged me to a battle. Archie led with Mightyena and I sent out Kansas, who was able to get Mightyena down to a sliver before going down. Montana came out to finish the job, and the next up for Archie was Crobat. Montana was able to take it out with a Hyper Beam and a Fly, bringing out Sharpedo. Against Sharpedo, Montana missed a Hyper Beam and hurt itself in confusion, so I had to bring out Ohio. A Thunderbolt and a Flamethrower later, Archie's Shark went down. I defeated Archie, but it didn't matter. The red orb activated and Kyogre ran off to wreak havoc. When we returned to the surface, there was an actual apocalypse happening. Groudon and Kyogre were apparently fighting in the middle of Sootopolis City, so that's where I was headed off to next. I just wanted to go on a journey to prove myself, maybe become champion, and here I am saving the world. How did I get myself in the middle of all this? I didn't have time to think about it though, because once I made it to Sootopolis, I met up with Wallace, who told me there was actually a third ancient Pokemon. Rayquaza once settled Groudon and Kyogre in the distant past, and Wallace thought it could do it again. I went along with his plan because things literally could not get any worse, and if there was any chance to stop this, it was worth a try. I made my way to the top of Sky Pillar and awakened Rayquaza. I followed the dragon back to Sootopolis, where it stopped the rampage of Groudon and Kyogre before flying back home. Somehow that actually worked. The apocalypse was over and I could get back to my journey. The final gym leader I had to face was Juan. He led with a Love Disc and I chose Montana. Montana missed the first Hyper Beam, but the second one connected and took Love Disc down. Celio came out next and took down Montana with one crit Aurora Beam. I brought out Nebraska, who took down Celio with 2 Thunderbolts. Juan sent out Crawdon, and not even a Hyper Potion could keep it from going down to a few Thunderbolts. Whiscash came out third, and I used a Psychic before switching to Stomp because it was using Amnesia, and it got off a nasty Earthquake, but we still took it out, bringing in Kingdra. Kingdra finished off Nebraska with a single Water Pulse, and I got worried when Kingdra set up a double team, but Kansas was able to come in and connect with a Strength and then a Hyper Beam to win us the final badge. I made my way through Victory Road and battled Wally again, and now here I am at the Pokémon League. One final gauntlet stands between me and becoming champion of the Hoenn Region. It's now or never. Do these 6 Pokémon, Montana, the Dodrio, Ohio, the Wigglytuff, Kentucky, the 8-Bomb, Nebraska, the Girafarig, Kansas, the Slaking, and Illinois, the Castform have what it takes to defeat the Pokémon League? It's time to find out. My first fight is Sydney, the Dark-type specialist. He sends out his Mightyena and I send out Montana. Montana uses 2 Tri-Attacks, which, combined with Double-Edged Recoil, take down Mightyena. Next out is Absol. I want to keep Montana healthy for Sydney's Grass types, so I switch out to Kansas to take out the Absol with a single Hyper Beam. Next out is Shiftry, who sets up a double team, so I bring out Kentucky to hopefully use Aerial Ace to bypass the double teams. Unfortunately, Kentucky just hits herself in confusion twice and falls to an extra sensory. I bring out Montana, who is able to hit through the double teams and take down Shiftry with a single Drill Peck. Next up is Cacturn, who also goes down to 1 Drill Peck, and last is Crawdon, who goes down to 1 Hyper Beam. 1 battle down, 4 more to go. The next battle is against Phoebe, who specializes in Ghost types. Her first Pokemon is Dusclops, and I choose Nebraska. I have Nebraska set up a Calm Mind as Dusclops goes for Protect. After another Protect, I bring Dusclops down to a sliver with a Crunch. Phoebe heals and I set up another Calm Mind. 1 more Crunch takes out Dusclops, and then Nebraska proceeds to sweep through the rest of Phoebe's team. We only take a little bit of damage from Sableye's Feint Attack and her second Dusclops Earthquake. 3 more trainers stand between me and the champion title. Glacia, the Ice-type trainer, is third. Her lead is Celio, and mine is once again Nebraska. I set up a Calm Mind as Celio goes for a Hail. I set up 2 more Calm Minds, taking more damage from Body Slams than I'd like in the process. Then, it's time to begin the sweep. Celio goes down to a Thunderbolt, Glalie falls to a Psychic, Celio number 2 can't handle a Thunderbolt any better than the first one. A single Psychic deals with a Glalie number 2, and Walrein falls, just like the Celio before it, to a single Thunderbolt. Glacia is defeated, and only 2 battles remain. Drake is the last of the Elite Four. He specializes in Dragon types, which only have 2 weaknesses: Dragon and Ice. It should come as no surprise that Illinois is my answer here. I set up a Hail as his lead Shelgon goes for Protect, and then proceed to fire off Hail-boosted Weather Balls until Illinois goes down. I'm able to deal with Shelgon and Flygon before Salamence connects with the Flamethrower to take down Illinois. At this point, I bring out Kansas, who proceeds to sweep through the rest of Drake's team with Hyper Beams. I've defeated the Elite Four, and all that's left is the champion. I heal up my team and head in for my date with Destiny. Champion Wallace is a Water-type master and the strongest trainer in Hoenn. He leads with his Wailord, who can do huge damage with Water Spout if you try to set up. So I have Nebraska use a Thunderbolt, planning to do big damage to it and weaken its Water Spout. However, Nebraska has other ideas. Her Thunderbolt crits, cleanly knocking out the Wailord. It's in this moment that I realize this battle isn't just for me. My team wants this as badly as I do. As Wallace sends out Tentacruel, I can sense a determination, not just in Nebraska, but in the whole team. Nebraska takes out Tentacruel with 2 Psychics, and as Tentacruel goes down, Nebraska is hurt and poisoned, but wants to fight until there's no fight left in her. She gets off a decent Psychic against Ludicolo before going down to a Surf. I bring in Montana, who finishes off Ludicolo with a Drill Peck, and just like that, half of Wallace's team is down. We can do this. Milotic comes out next, and Montana does big damage with a Hyper Beam before going down to an Ice Beam. I bring in Kansas as Milotic gets back some health from a Citrus Berry, and then Kansas gets off a powerful Hyper Beam, taking down Wallace's ace. Kansas then takes out Wishcash with a single Hyper Beam, bringing out Wallace's final Pokemon, a Gyarados. One Hyper Beam isn't enough to take down Gyarados, and it retaliates with a Dragon Dance boosted Hyper Beam of its own that Kansas survives in the yellow. And then, on Gyarados' recharge turn, Kansas lets off one final Hyper Beam that defeats Wallace's final Pokemon. I did it. No. We did it. My team wanted that just as badly as I did, and now we are champions of the Hoenn region. We've come so far on this journey. We defeated my own father. We saved the world. We defeated the strongest trainer around. But what's next? Why do I feel like my journey isn't over? The next day I get a call from Scott. He saw my battle against Wallace and wants to talk to me about some kind of invitation he has for me. I meet him on board a cruise ship, and he tells me about a tournament that's being held in Lumiose City in the distant Kalos region, the ZA Royale. Apparently the best trainers from across the world are meeting in Lumiose for this tournament, and he was sent to Hoenn to recruit talent. He hands me an invitation and steps off the ship.